A reader and a listener to this program and a reader of my website sent me an email, and he pointed out a comment left by Herge Degrelles over on our friend Aberato's website, fakeologist.com. And I'd like to read this comment. It's very, very interesting, and I think he's spot on. And in this comment, and I'll have a link to this when I post this program. This comment, he's basically describing the two super keys, is what he calls them, quote unquote, super keys. The two super keys of figuring out what the heck is really going on in this world. And this is sort of how I kind of summarize what he was talking about here. And this is a quote, again, directly from this commenter over on fakeologist.com. And he says, one of the super keys is recognizing the technique of manufacturing false realities through media fakery. The other is discovering the reality of Jew-owned media and a Zionist-occupied government funded by international Jew banking usury and legalized counterfeiting, hidden behind and giving orders to the Bilderbergs, the Vatican, and all the rest. These two super keys together will open more doors and more big lies simultaneously than any other. Only one of the keys by itself will cut your results in half. Those who promote only one of these keys and not the other are engaged in a form of witting or unwitting shilling and obfuscation, or cutting the results of their followers in half. And I think he absolutely hit a home run with this comment here. We have to understand the reality of media fakery and the technique of manufacturing false realities using the media, and also discovering that when you look at the international power structure, the global power structure, international Jewry sits at the top. They control the banking systems, therefore they control the governments and the media, and these two super keys are absolutely essential to understanding what is really going on in this world and what has gone on in this world. And these two keys are something that I try my hardest to focus on these radio programs and on my website. Tom, do you have any comments about this?
Yes, yeah. The one key regarding media fakery, the history behind that one is not just 100 years old. It goes back several thousand years. And I would encourage everyone to read Plato's Republic, especially the allegory of the cave, because this is what he was talking about, the fake reality that can be created to people. Okay, usually it's done by a ruler or a ruling class to keep them confused and essentially under control without having to resort to physical force.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what that was about.
Yeah, and I think he's right about how, and you see this a lot. You see some people who are all into the sort of media fakery aspect of what's going on, and then you see some people who are all into obviously, the Jews are behind most of what we see in our world today. And, obviously their control of our governments, media, and banking system, et cetera. So I think it's important to really combine these two ideas, these two concepts, if we're ever going to really figure out what the heck is going on. Because they're essential. They are both essential. If you talk about one and not the other, you're missing half the story.
Yeah, well, some of your shows are particularly good as far as...
And again, this is one of the major keys, one of the super keys, understanding that they do have the ability to manufacture false reality through media fakery, and then also recognizing that essentially the Jews sit at the top of the global power structure, and that's already out of the bag. People know that. People are onto the Jews, but this other key, this media fakery aspect, this is not necessarily out of the bag. I think we've made a lot of progress.
It's illusionism. That's the science of illusionism is what exactly you're talking about. I mean, there's tons of examples of it. Even like you remember the guy in New York who made the what was his name? Copperfield, the Jew Copperfield. He made he made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he did to the people who were there. It disappeared from their perspective. Yeah, sure. He's an illusionist. And these that's basically the core science that's used through the media platform to control the perceptions of people, so they don't have to use guns to control the perceptions of people or the actions of them.
By the way, guys, tomorrow, speaking of these two keys, these two super keys, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about one of the super keys with Andrew Carrington Hitchcock, the author of The Synagogue of Satan. And he also wrote a book called, I believe it's called In the Name of Yahweh, where he describes his views, I guess, on Christian identity, which we'll be talking a little bit about tomorrow as well. So I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So 11 a.m. my time, I believe that's 2 p.m. in the afternoon for you guys out there on the East Coast. And then on Wednesday, I will have none other than Simon Shack of SeptemberClub.info. Yeah, so we'll be tackling the other super key that Herge Degrelles identified, and that is, again, manufacturing false realities through media fakery. We'll be talking about that with Simon Shack. So stay tuned for that. That show will be at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, and I'm very excited about that. I actually spoke with Simon just this weekend briefly, and I think it's going to be a great show. I've been totally intrigued by September Clues since the first time I watched it, and it took me a while to kind of, grasp what they were saying and understand. Oh wow, we totally were faked out on 9/11, weren't we? And it takes some time, but I think if you really sit down and watch it, you'll come to the same conclusion that I have, and I think that Tom has as well.
Oh yeah. These will be really good because
I think we really are making a lot of progress with stuff. It's so important. I mean, it really is. Both of these two keys really have to be understood, and they really have to cascade. I mean, once we do that, we're really going to be making some progress. We can't just focus on one or the other. We have to focus on both of them. We have to understand both of them if we really want to get to the heart of the matter. So, and I think we're doing that here on the Realist Report for sure.
Yeah, by providing the tools of it to the individual out there who wants to know for themselves, so they can say, well, okay, you're telling me there's a problem here. If you provide the thinking tools, the logic tools, and the analysis tools to them, they're going to figure it out themselves. You don't. Mm-hmm. It's done. It's done. The cascade will occur at that point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thanks again, Tom.